Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ProChoiceOH. Enjoy the show.
Hi, I'm Jaime.
Hi, I'm Randi.
Hi, I'm Gabe, and I love Pokemon. It's like a support group.
Yes. It's
I'll
bringing
admit
many
it.
people together.
Yes,
Mhm.
it is.
Mm-hmm. Not
do
me.
You don't play?
No.
Okay. Have you turned it on yet?
No,
Have you seen
I
it?
haven't even. I've seen other people's screenshots and activities, but it is not on my phone.
Yes. It is on my phone, but I haven't figured out how to play exactly yet. One, because I'm lazy and don't want to go outside. And two, because I can't figure out how to throw the Pokeballs at the Pokemon and I can't catch them.
We're going to have a lesson as soon as this
Yeah, because
recording is over.
I tried to catch one yesterday, and it wasn't. I was clicking on the screen, but the ball wasn't catching it.
Right.
So I don't know what was happening.
Right.
But I like that so many people are doing it, and I've seen so many people send pictures on Facebook, groups of people oh, we're all here at this place catching Pokemon and we're meeting, and it's basically like the new Tinder. I also saw an article that said it's like the new Grinder.
Oh, jeez.
I don't doubt it. No, it's a lot of fun. I was too old for the first version of Pokemon. When that came out, I was in college, and I'm like, I don't even know what these. This
I
is
was
some kids game.
on the fence. I think I was when Pokemon came out. I think I was about to go to high school, and so I saw them. I know what they are, but I just wasn't oh, Pokemon. I like Pikachu though. He's cute.
Sure. I missed it. I didn't really understand what it was about when this game came out. It was Friday. I put it on my phone and it sat, because the server was crashed on the first day with all the people playing it. But so I pulled up the Wikipedia page and I was reading about Pokemon just briefly, and the origin of it is that there was a game designer in Japan who saw friends that were insect collecting and going out in the field bug collecting, and he wanted to make a digital version. So if you think of it like bug collecting, for people who haven't played, that makes sense.
Because the animals look weird.
Yeah, and they're funky, and you can play it, and it doesn't cost anything more than the video game, so it's accessible. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's kind of like geocaching for people who like
Right.
GPS units and do the whole geocaching thing, except there's no prizes.
Right.
You're just doing it for the hell of doing it.
Yeah. Okay, but so you asked why I put this on the agenda. Why on earth are we discussing this?
And why it's first on
Why
the
it's first.
agenda when so many other things are happening.
Well, it's first because even though it's clearly least important, it is lighthearted, and there's so much heavy stuff in the news.
True.
And we gotta bring it down somehow. But my transition here is that playing this game, I've been out on my bike in my neighborhood late at night, and it's really sort of illustrated to me as a grown man on a grown white man on a bicycle. I've been riding around through our public park. I've been on city streets at hours that I'm normally not out on the street. And my wife looks at me like I'm crazy, but I feel totally fine, confident, safe.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything different than what Tamir Rice was doing.
Yeah.
Hanging out in the park. And I'm there at hours where you're not supposed to be in the park.
Yeah.
I'm there after dark.
Yeah.
You're slowly casing neighborhoods where I actually saw a post from a police department that was actually talking about all the other things don't use it while actually riding your bike because that's stupid.
It's a little challenging, but I've mastered it.
And also don't run into trees or meters because that hurts.
Right.
Yes.
But then also don't be stupid while going through a neighborhood. If you see a Pokemon in somebody's driveway, don't pull into their driveway like you're casing the house, because some people might see that as, possible criminal activity. And you doing that will have a very different reaction to, Randi doing it or Tamir Rice doing it or, you know, any person of color out there doing it. So
Right. I mean, I'm out there on my bike circling blocks, you know.
And no one has called the police on you yet.
No, not at all. And then not in terms of a racial aspect, but in terms of a gender aspect, you know, there'd be no way in hell I would let my teenage daughter wander around a city park in the dark.
Yeah.
It's why your wife is looking at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that I'm immune from violence or attack or, you know, harassment by the police for riding a bike through a city street. But, you know, it really illustrated very quickly in my mind, wow, there are so many things that I'm able to get away with here that not everybody can. And the only issue is just how people are going to look at a Black person riding a bicycle down their street at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Or what is that young girl doing in the park? You know, what is she thinking?
Yeah.
So that's my transition.
That's your transition. That's
I
a good
like
transition.
From Pokemon to
last week.
So our regular listeners will know that we didn't have a podcast last week. You two were both having fun on vacation. I was sitting here in the office. I actually recorded a podcast. I twice. I came in on Thursday after we'd learned about Alton Sterling and Phillando Castille, and I sat down and recorded my thoughts, and I wasn't happy with them, so I didn't post the podcast, and then went home, and I thought, well, I'll do it again on Friday. And then Thursday night, you know, me and my wife were sitting at home watching MSNBC and basically watched 5 cops get murdered in the streets in Dallas. And so I came back in on Friday and I tried to sit down and re-record, and I still couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was really strange because I was not only on vacation, but completely out of cell range. So like for every once in a while, I'd get like 30 seconds of being able to see Facebook. So I knew vaguely stuff was going on, but had no idea what. So like I came into it on Friday when we finally emerged from the woods, and, you know, it all hit at once, which is a very different kind of way to see what happened that week than the one and then the other and then the Dallas, you know, and how that kind of built. So it was a very different, like, whoa, holy shit, like, can I go back in the woods now? Kind of moment. But yeah, and actually I have Facebook friends who were down there, like Facebook
in Dallas.
Dallas at the protest, you know, saying, you know, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm hiding somewhere, but holy shit, what the hell? Like, nobody has any idea what's going on. I mean, and that was really what it was. Like at that point, no one had any idea what the hell was happening.
Well, it wasn't any fun watching it live.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't.
No.
I think I saw after it had already happened, because I wasn't at home. I was like, me and my mom had gone to the movies. So then when we came back, and she doesn't have MSNBC like at her house, she just has basic cable. So she has like CNN. But so I got on my computer to watch MSNBC, and I saw it, and I was just like, wow, like I don't know what's going on. And like everything with Phillando Castille and Alton Sterling, like I didn't see it initially because again, we're on vacation, so I wasn't like looking constantly. So then when I saw it, I was just like, I was trying really hard not to watch, and I was trying really hard not to watch any of the videos. But then if you watch the news, like, they show it. I mean, it's so you can't get away from it because they're always showing it.
Right.
Well, that's one of my biggest, like, how do they not understand the trauma they're causing by doing that?
Yes.
You know, like this isn't a movie, and I think this is one of those places, you know, I'm definitely not one of those people.
You're talking about causing trauma by showing the videos on the news.
Yes.
Got it.
And like, you know, all these people are saying we're desensitized to violence because of violent movies and violent video games, and all these people who are like trying to censor us. That definitely not in that camp. But I think because of the 24-hour news cycle and, people's appetite to see everything, social media has, kind of pushed us into like, I know every aspect of your life. I know what you ate for breakfast this morning because you put a picture of it on Facebook. And so now we expect to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, over and over again, I mean, this is not a movie. This is not a TV with a plot line. It's an actual person dying.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the aftermath with the Phillando,
Yeah.
the fiance, live Facebooking.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The aftermath of a actual human being dead.
Yes.
And the fact that they just play it over and over, even with the whole like, well, you might want to turn away,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because you're still turning it on. You're still there. We've fetishized,
Yeah.
especially Black men,
Yes.
getting killed
Yeah.
and play it over and over and over again on TV like it's
Exactly.
not real.
Exactly.
I don't know where the balance is because that's definitely, a negative aspect of fetishization,
Mm-hmm.
if that's a word. But at the same time, it's one of those things, where we all need to know
Mhm.
exactly what happened to these two men.
Yeah.
Because otherwise our understanding of what that situation was and what our
Mhm.
problems are, is not going to be an accurate picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you could show leading up, like right up to it, or right up. Like I think because I'm remembering back, I think it was a college basketball game during the NCAA finals where like somebody came really hard down on his leg and like he compound fractured his leg in front of the cameras.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And like ESPN showed it in real time because it was happening, but like every single other news channel, everything else like showed right up to the moment he did it, but then blurred out what was actually happening. So we
Yeah.
can't show this guy breaking his leg because it's too gory or gross, but we're going to show over and over and over and over again this
Right.
guy getting killed by the police. So
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, it just strikes me as
Right.
and I do agree, like we wouldn't be, because they've been saying historically, we're not necessarily at like an all-time high for police shootings of Black men. It's just that
No,
we
they
know
have
about
cameras
them
now.
happening over and over and over again when
Yeah.
we
Right.
didn't know about them before. And I guess, I've been seeing articles
Yeah.
about how, the rates are equally high and catastrophic for Latino men and Native American people.
Yeah.
And, it's not just Black people, but it's,
Right.
all people
Yeah.
of color and their interactions with police. So
Yeah. It's really a catch-22 because, like you said, it's already been happening, but we just didn't have the cameras and stuff. But it's like we wouldn't need the cameras or to show it if people just actually believed Black and brown people when they tell them what happens to them. But
Mhm.
nobody believes you when
No.
you tell them. So then you have to show
Right.
it on camera because then it can be like. But even then, when they show it on camera, they have the body cams. It feels like even with that, nothing ever really happens.
No.
It's like, okay, we saw that and it was terrible, but okay, they're still on administrative leave and we're still going to, see what happens.
Paid
Yeah.
administrative leave. They're on a paid
Exactly.
vacation.
Yeah.
They shoot somebody and they go on a paid vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of my fellow Facebook friends was complaining about a racist friend of theirs posting an article about, well, why doesn't anybody care about this white kid getting shot by the police? And the story, and I read the story and I was like, because at the end of that story it talks about how the police officer's actually been charged with second-degree murder in this case. And he's
Yeah.
actually going to
Right.
court, and that never happens
Right.
for any of these Black kids. And
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple angles to everything.
Yeah.
There's the the coverage of it. There's the question of, are we going to get justice?
Yeah.
Which I think is a total separate conversation, really,
Mhm.
of how do we stop this from happening?
Yeah. Like in
Um,
the Freddie Gray case, so far they've had a mistrial and one acquittal. It's like, how do I go from you arrest me for nothing, for basically running the other way, and you have me in your custody. You're supposed to be making sure like I'm safe, I'm in your custody, and before we even get to the jail, I'm dead and you're not at fault.
Right.
Mhm.
Like that doesn't make any sense. Like I really cannot comprehend that. I just, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, but then again, I mean, we don't have video of it, but still, that's just, I don't think anybody can see that or know about that and be like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, and also the same case with Sandra Bland, like, you take me in for nothing, basically, just because you're angry because you see that I got an attitude or something. And now she's dead. Like, I don't understand it. Like, so I don't know. It seems like either you're going to shoot me and execute me like right there on the street, or I'm going to get to jail and be killed, or I'm just going to be put in prison to be free labor. Like, I don't know. I feel like I told my mom I'm going to start calling them by their original name, which is slave patrols. And slave patrols are not here to protect you. Slave patrols are either here to catch you and execute you, or to put you back on the field, aka prison, for free labor. And that's what they're here for, Black and brown people. They're not here to, you know, like I said, be there to help you. They're slave patrols. That's how they started. That's the beginning. That's their history. And it feels like really nothing has changed from that. But what I'm happy about that happened this week is that a lot of conservative media actually wrote, there was like a couple of articles written by a couple of different conservative sites talking about, you know what? Now that I've seen this, I realize that my privilege has blinded me about what it really is to be Black in America. And I was just like so shocked and, you know, shocked by the things that Newt Gingrich said about, you know, regular white people don't know what it's like to be Black in America. Like, they don't understand. I was like, are we in the twilight zone right now? But I mean, I'm happy that again, it's sad that nobody believes us, our own personal experiences. Like, but some people will only hear that. They'll only know that and really digest it, hearing it from a specific source like Newt Gingrich or from Breitbart or Red State or something, from them like actually saying, you know what, this is crazy. This shouldn't be happening. And we should talk about it. And so I'm happy that, you know, even though it sucks that all of this had to happen first, but I'm happy that if I can take anything from it, that those other people are finally starting to realize that, you know what, this crazy shit actually happens and we should talk about it, because people are not lying when they say that they're being, you know, unfairly targeted by the police. Like, this is happening and now we're going to talk about it.
So that's where I was at on Thursday. The president spoke then. President Obama said, what's clear is these fatal shootings are not isolated incidents. They are symptomatic of the broader challenges within our criminal justice system, the racial disparities that appear across the system year after year, and the resulting lack of trust that exists between law enforcement and too many of the communities they serve. So the president said that. He said a lot more on Thursday. He was very subdued. He almost looked like he was going to fall asleep. I was confused.
Yeah.
I sat there watching him and I was like, this is the most quiet I've ever heard this man speak. I mean, he obviously is, you know, not happy is an understatement.
Yeah.
But I was puzzled. I sat there and I watched him and I thought, wow, this is not the reaction that I expected.
Yeah.
You know, seeing two Black men murdered and hearing a Black president talk about this. This wasn't the reaction I expected. He's toned down. I didn't get it.
I think that the reason he was like that, because I felt like that was sort of my own reaction, because even though I was very angry about it, but at the same time, it's like, it gets to be like so much, like so heavy, like weighing on you, thinking about it, seeing it. It's just where you get to a point like, okay, this has happened like so many times now. Like, are we really going to do something different this time? Is it really going to change this time? Like, it's just, it's just like, it's just so heavy. It's like, you can't, if you've ever, it reminded me of living with an alcoholic. If you ever lived with an alcoholic, which I did growing up, then you know that, and you try to have interventions, like something happens, something bad happened, you try to have an intervention, but the person says they're going to change, but they never change.
Right.
And, and then so you get to a point where it's just like, okay, I love you, but I have to emotionally disconnect from you because I can't be connected to you like that because you've proven to me too much that you're just not going to change and you keep hurting me. And I feel like right now, that's the relationship I feel like I have with America right now. It's an abusive relationship and it's dysfunctional, and I just have to emotionally cut myself off from you because you've proven that you're just going to keep hurting me and nothing's going to change. And I feel like that's how Black America feels with America right now, and that's how the president was feeling.
I think that's how Black America feels. I think at that point in time, at that exact moment on Thursday, I think the president's thoughts were, I need to condemn this and I cannot encourage more violence. And I think if there was a reason that he toned down his remarks on Thursday, it's because the last thing in the world he ever wanted to see was what happened Thursday night.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to encourage any additional violence. He can't be politically blamed for encourage. I mean, he got blamed for it.
Of course.
And that was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
But
it's always Obama's fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks Obama.
Thanks, Louis Gohmert from Texas. Like, okay.
But yeah, I think he was probably internally experiencing a lot of those same emotional reactions that you've just described, but he can't shove that onto the country because, what he's looking at is like a giant pool of gasoline.
Yeah.
And he's really trying to be the fire extinguisher here. And that's going to piss people off, but he really did not want to see violence, and he doesn't want to see violence that, it's I don't think you can blame this on like the Black Lives Matter movement, but it's going to be just in fact,
I mean, people already have, so
yeah. And so he did not want to see Thursday night happen. He did not want to see police and civilians be targeted violently. And so that's what made it hard to try and record Friday.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at this from, we are not a gun violence organization, a gun prevention. We're not a gun control organization. We're an abortion protection organization. We're dedicated to clinics.
Yeah.
At many times outside our clinics, we have a uniformed police officer who's standing there protecting the situation. In Colorado Springs, there were 3 people that were killed. One of them was the cop, and he was trying to stop things. We just had city council meetings where we talked about clinic protection. And that first meeting, the Columbus Police Department was represented by one of their own who was a Black female. Talking about the importance of the police in protecting not just clinics and staff, but making sure that, protests are de-escalated, that everybody's following the law outside of an abortion clinic. The very next week, same thing, different representative, Columbus Police Department, a Black man talking about, they're not there to take sides. They're there to make sure that everyone is protected.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel the anger. I look at Baton Rouge and Alton Sterling, and he is my age. And that was my first thought is, oh my God, I know what this kid looked like in kindergarten.
Yeah.
I know exactly what toys he was playing with at a certain age and what video games. And, he and I were that exact same age when we saw, in the 80s, Michael Jackson moonwalk and Michael Jordan dunk a basketball. I mean, as a white kid in Ohio and a Black kid in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, he and I grew up in completely different worlds. But I know what this kid was like when he was 5.
Yeah.
And I really liked that kid. He was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And then in Minnesota, the first thing I saw on Facebook was somebody whose children go to the elementary school where he ran the cafeteria. And this was like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And so I want to be furious I am furious about their murders. But at the same time, just as a citizen and professionally, I rely on the police all the time. And so figuring out, and, I think the president's in the same spot, and his world's much more important than mine. But how do you condemn these murderers and the individuals that murdered them, and not condemn America's law enforcement, but get them to change?
Well, I think Alicia Garza, who is way smarter and more articulate than I will ever be,
an argument that is difficult for me.
Well, but she's making, when I saw her on, she was one of the first things I saw when we finally got home and I turned the TV on and actually started watching some of the coverage. One of the first things I saw on MSNBC, and she was talking about how the Black Lives Matter movement isn't there just to make Black America safer.
Yeah.
Right.
That if the police were doing the right thing and they weren't cold-blooded murdering Black men in the streets,
right,
Dallas wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy could have been, he obviously had issues, so he was probably going to be radicalized in some way, shape, or form somewhere, to do something awful, but it wouldn't have happened in that same way. So when she articulated this, the words that, she said, much better than I'm ever going to now, that, this is why what happened in Dallas is why we're doing Black Lives Matter, why Lives Matter is so important, because Black Lives Matter protects everyone.
Right.
It makes this world better for everyone. Black Lives Matter means all lives matter when we start going into all those discussions that we don't even have time to go into today. If Black Lives Matter,
could drop the linguistics analysis of the phrase and just accept it for what it's worth.
Yeah, exactly. But by ensuring that Black Lives Matter, everybody's better. And when she said, because obviously Black Lives Matter is being blamed whether they're not responsible or not, and they are not responsible because they are leading peaceful protests, and this guy was not associated with them in any way, shape, or form. This is why the movement is so important and is so critical to continue. And it is kind of sad too that things like this happened in Dallas, where they seem to be doing the right thing. Their police chief, I was reading, in the year that he came on, or the year before he came on, there were 140 something or whatever police shootings in Dallas. And like in the last year there were under 20. They made changes. They taught their cops how to de-escalate. They taught their cops not to grab their guns first shot. They taught them how to better handle these situations, and they're doing it better. And I think that's what we've seen in Dallas too, is that, the citizens of Dallas are not rioting in the streets and those kinds of things. They are peacefully protesting, and they are, working with the cops, and, that's what we've kind of seen afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody wrote a post which I was like, I thought that kind of like spoke to me, because again, I'm kind of on the fence about whether we need police or not, because I've seen many articles saying that we could do it better. We could have it where we have community patrols, or different things, because I feel like it's an institution. Again, the history of the institution, it was a slave patrol. So I just feel like when you have something that started that way, how are we really going to fix it to make it serve everyone?
Right.
Because a lot of people say the criminal justice system doesn't work for Black people. Some people say it works exactly how it's supposed to, because it wasn't meant for you to work for you in the first place.
Exactly.
Right.
So, so what they said is that it's that when you call the police, you don't get an option to say, I want a good cop, not a bad cop. So I don't have the luxury of saying, okay, but most of them are good. I'm sure most of them are good, but at the same time, when you're the one pulling me over, are you one of the good ones? Or are you going to shoot me? Like, I don't know. And so for me, that's the problem. So again, do we need police? I mean, probably, yeah. But again, I think that the whole institution needs to be, I don't know. I feel like the whole institution just needs to be broken down from the top to the bottom, because I've just seen too many people. I've seen a conversation happening on Facebook with someone who had really negative comments to say, and then a few comments later, I found out that he himself is a police officer. So you have those comments, you have that mindset, and even in his comments, he said, "I've arrested more white people than black people," but you still have the bias towards the black people. Like you say that, I'm seeing that right now. So again, are you going to be the one who pulls me over? I don't know. So I can't take that chance. So I need until the good ones start calling out, because the bad thing is, it's like when people talk about, oh, well, then they don't want to talk about black on black crime. When another black person kills another black person in the neighborhood, then we say what that black person did was wrong, terrible, and they should go to jail. But the problem with them is that they never can seem to say that that is a bad cop and he did something bad and he deserves to be punished. It's like, again, he has to be protected, and in anything they do or say, it's like in this shield bubble of protection, and none of the other police can say, that was a bad thing. And so for me, until they're able to do that without feeling like there's going to be repercussions for me saying that what that cop did was bad, then the whole system is wrong, because the good ones don't feel like they can stand up and say that they shouldn't be doing this. And that's the whole problem. Mm-hmm. But again, I know that there's ones out there that do a great job, but just the institution that they are in is a bad institution, right? Because the way it was built, it was to oppress people of color, and that's what it's still doing, 100 years later. So I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes, but right now, honestly, I'm on the fence of whether we need to have as much law enforcement as we have. Right.
That's the argument that Alicia Garza is making, where we've seen her personally speak. I've got the world of respect for her, but she's talking about defunding police departments, and that's where I'm not opposed to what she's saying, but I really pause when she's talking about that. And I'm all for the idea of removing many of the military. Ferguson. St. Louis, when they had that giant armored vehicle moving down the street, that was a huge problem that the police were using that. At the same time, defunding police departments, at the exact moment when we're watching, bullets hail down on officers in Dallas, trying to make the argument that, they need to have less support. You say community patrol, and I swear to God, I hear lynch mob. And I'm like, no, I need a professional police force.
Are they professional though?
They're not. I recognize them. How we turn, that, that Ferguson light militia into a demilitarized but yet fully supported police force.
Jones, who he has a lot of law enforcement in his family, and he was making the point that at this point in time, we focus so much on after somebody does something wrong, then how are you going to discipline them, instead of at the front end with the hiring. It seems at the front end with the hiring, they should be doing more like psychological evaluation. Does this person have implicit bias? Do they have a bias they don't even realize? But that's not really taken into account. And I feel like, they should have been vetted a lot more.
Well, who's screening the screeners for those?
True.
Yes, that's better recruitment, more selective recruitment.
And a lot of the people, and at the same time, a lot of the people who have been in these incidents, you find out later that they've had multiple incidents against them already, or they were fired from this place and then got hired again at this place. It's like, why is that happening? Like, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I mean, the cop who murdered 12-year-old Tamir Rice had, previously been on a different police force, and they said that he was not mentally stable. He would not react well in a high stress situation. And guess what? Cleveland hired him, and he got in a high stress situation, and in 2 seconds he gunned down a 12-year-old. in a park playing on an afternoon.
It wasn't even actually a high stress situation.
No,
was a kid
it
in a
wasn't
park.
Yeah,
a high stress
That's
situation.
how
created-
inappropriate
Yes,
he was.
he
for
created
the job.
Yes.
the high stress
Yeah.
situation.
Exactly.
He built it to the point where he needed to murder a 12-year-old in a park.
And it seems like a lot of those guys, again, like with Sandra Bland, instead of de-escalating the situation, it's like it's for those specific ones, it's like they seem that if you question me in any way, then I'm going to show you that I'm the authority here and I have the power. And so I'm going to, wield that over you. And I like Jesse Williams' speech that he said, they say we're free, but she might be alive if she hadn't acted so free. So you're really not that free. You're really not that. And it's like to say that you should be respectful and like, comply with the commands, like, of course. But at the same time, it's like, again, it's making me feel like slave patrol, like, yes, massa, no massa. Okay. Like, you tell me what to do and I'll do it. Lay down. Okay. Like, why do I have to do that? And when you pull over a white woman, does she have to do that?
No.
Like, no.
Well, and that's the other thing. It's interesting. We always hear all the time about how the American State Department says, don't travel to this country because it's dangerous, or that country if it's dangerous.
Yeah.
The Bahamian government, so the
I
government
saw
of the
that.
Bahamas,
Yeah.
has actually issued a travel warning for its citizens traveling to the United States. And that was part of what the travel warning said. If
for young black men.
If you are pulled over by the authorities, comply with every single order, act, completely contrite, do not challenge, do not, make sudden movements, do not. I mean, this is a foreign government warning its citizens about
the United States government
military
and law enforcement.
Law enforcement, which is really a military at this point.
I think that's so hilarious, though. I mean, there's somebody on the beach in the Bahamas, and they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't go to Pittsburgh."
Okay, fine. Yeah, exactly. Like, why the hell they would want to come here anyway?
I know, true.
Okay, we didn't discuss before we started recording the "That's What She Said." It absolutely, I'm making this choice myself.
Okay,
absolutely goes to Warrensville Heights Police Officer Nakia Jones, a black woman who's a law enforcement officer who recorded a video after the shooting of Alton Sterling. Very powerful video.
Yeah.
So we'll include a link in the show notes. She called out her fellow police officers, which
she did.
I think needs to be happening in every community across the country. She said, if you're white and you're working in a black community and you are racist, you need to be ashamed of yourself. You stood up there and took an oath. If this is not where you want to work, then you need to take your behind somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was incredibly brave of her to post that online. She got national attention for it. So I was, very proud to hear that voice was coming from Ohio. So she gets it. That's what she said.
Yes.
That's what she said. And then I'm going to give the walk of shame to the NRA, who could not defend a concealed carry person.
Boo.
It's like, if you guys can't stand up for people who are following the law and doing concealed carry the way it's meant to be done and killed for it, then why does
he got a gun like you told us to? Like, he got a permit.
He didn't tell you to get a gun. That's what the most obvious
tell everyone,
thing is.
you know. And he got a concealed carry permit. I mean, this guy did everything right, and he still ended up dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, I don't support concealed carry, but he did everything legally.
He did everything legally. True. Yeah.
And no one should ever die for a broken tail light.
No.
So.
My mom actually told me that she was thinking about getting a concealed carry in Georgia because the hotel where she works at, I mean, there's some sketchy people there sometimes, but I mean, I don't feel like it's a terrible place, but I mean, that scares me because I'm like, why do you feel like you need to go and get a gun? And what if something happens and like, it's going to be turned on, either it's going to be turned on you, either it's going to be, you're going to have an encounter with police and it's going to be seen as, oh, you have a gun, and it's just not going to be good. Like, I think that's the other thing we saw from this, which I mean, we already knew this, but Second Amendment is not for Black and brown people. I mean, that's obvious, but again, we already knew this because Ohio's an open carry state and Tamir Rice and John Crawford are dead. So
he's carrying toy guns.
Guns. I know, not even real guns, toy guns, but you're dead. So I mean, I just think that I don't know. So a lot of people think that that's the way to get rid of the Second Amendment, or at least to get stronger gun laws, is for black and brown people to start arming themselves.
Well,
and then the NRA would be for stronger gun laws immediately.
Probably.
Apparently, that's going to get tested.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. To move on to our agenda of the RNC, I guess the Black Panthers have announced that they intend to open carry at the RNC.
And so is some white supremacist groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that already. The Black Panthers came in yesterday, I think it was, and said that they were going to. Well, the white folks were going to do it.
So you're going to have
I hope
fully
we plan
armed,
being far away from all of them. I don't want anything to do with any of them.
Yeah,
fully armed Klansmen and Black Panthers.
This is another thing, though, in this whole, going back to toy guns versus real guns. Inside the security zone, not the queue itself, because the queue itself is saying that no guns.
The queue is the arena in Cleveland where the event happens.
And where LeBron James plays basketball. Let's remember that happy stuff that happens there, not
the important stuff.
The queue is the Hall of Fame and Walk of Shame all in one building.
But so the building itself is supposed to be a no-gun zone. But inside the security perimeter that they've set up in Cleveland around all the event venues, you're not allowed to bring water guns. But you're allowed to bring real guns. I don't even
You're
have
not allowed
words.
to bring a metal-tipped umbrella.
Yes.
But you can bring in an AK-47.
Or it was like hard fruits, or like it was stuff you could throw. It was like the list of things
about all of this other stuff, and people can bring in a gun.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Like, I can throw an orange at you from 3 feet away and it might like hit you and bounce off, but a sniper could be in that building over there 3 blocks away and shoot you down.
Yes.
Like, which one's gonna do more damage? So again, continuing the ridiculousness on things. That's what's going on too.
I mean,
no
that's
water
just
guns,
not,
but real guns.
I mean,
totally
that's
fine.
just craziness waiting to happen. Craziness waiting to happen.
It's and it's already gotten started. Billboards have gone up. Pro-choice billboards from some of our friends at the National Institute of Reproductive Health
and preterm.
And preterm.
And anti-abortion billboards have gone up by other people, and there's an airplane circling the city of Cleveland by Created Equal, the anti-abortion extremists with some dumb banner. So the insanity has already started. It's only the Wednesday before the event.
Cleveland just has to survive another week.
Right. So I want to give a plug to, we'll talk about it again and let's get it on. But our event is on Thursday of the RNC, Slurricane Trump. We've got the co-creator of The Daily Show, Liz Winstead, along with Alonzo Bowden, who you know from NPR's Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and Frank Conniff, who's Mystery Science Theater 3000's Frank Conniff. The 3 of them and some other comedians are going to be on stage during Trump's speech on Thursday of the RNC. That's July 21st. You can get 7 p.m. VIP reception tickets. They're $75 at comedyrnc.brownpapertickets.com. So that's like our big official thing at the RNC, which is not in the immediate downtown. So if you want to participate in protesting but don't need a gas mask and you can have a cocktail in hand, then join us.
Yes. This seems like a much better place for me to be.
Because the rest of it's going to be insane.
It's going to be a shit show, but we're going to have fun.
Completely insane.
Yes, from a safe distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like, what's all going to happen? Yeah, there's still delegates who say that they're going to, take over. Trump says it's going to be Hollywood. There's going to be people with a lot of guns outside. I mean, it's just Cleveland. Poor Cleveland.
Yeah.
So
it's already been through
all those
so
people
much.
who were like, yeah, we're on a convention. And I was like, no, I really don't think you do. I think I get a.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they want it.
No.
So John Kasich has not endorsed Trump.
He's not attending.
Speaking and not attending.
Not attending. I still think that he's holding out for some sort of Cleveland miracle, hoping that the delegates will rebel, that something will happen, and then he'll be like, hey, I'm still eligible.
Yeah.
Even though he's not, because he never won 8 states. Ted Cruz is eligible.
You have to have 1/8 states to be eligible?
Unless they change the rules, which I don't think they can do anymore.
No, because they
did
approved
the rules.
the platform yesterday. So
okay.
Yeah, so they've already got people up there like making the official GOP platform. It's horribly anti-choice, really racist.
It's like they have that pornography is a public health issue. I find
Zika
that very funny. Zika's not.
Zika's not. Porn is.
Gun violence is not.
Porn is.
Porn is.
Apparently, there's a line in there that stresses that college campuses should not be held responsible for sexual assaults that take place.
Nice.
Oh yeah, this is. I mean, if you want to see all the things that we stand for, I mean, technically, NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio is a nonpartisan organization.
Yeah.
But look at the Republican platform and find something that we stand for. Good luck.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is. So the rest of the week, we're looking forward to figuring out who Trump's VP is going to be. We think that's coming out on Friday.
Yeah.
Mike Pence was one of the people who was brought up.
My friends in Indiana would love to see him leave for a little while.
He has a really low. Well, I was hearing them talk about him yesterday on the news, and they're talking about all his people that he's thinking of and giving the pros cons, and they were like, oh well, Mike Pence, he would solidify the base, and that he had the religious liberty bill, which could be good or bad depending on which side you're on. But yeah. But apparently he doesn't have a very high favorable rating or approval rating in Indiana. And also they say that Indiana is not a swing state, but it's not as red. It's not as red as it once was. So
yeah, it may have gone from red to crimson.
Well, I mean, no, they're not going to. Democrats are not going to win it. But in certain states, you don't necessarily have to win. You just have to make sure the other side doesn't win as big.
Yeah,
right.
And so they were saying that's one of those states where possibly they can make it so that Trump doesn't win as big.
Yeah. The Mike Pence that I know isn't Governor Pence. It was Congressman Mike Pence, who led the first of this sort of modern anti-choice era. National push to defund Planned Parenthood. I was working with Planned Parenthood back in 2010, 2011 when he shoved that bill forward. We actually organized a whole bus trip to DC. Thousands of people showed up to protest the Pence amendment to nationally just knock out Planned Parenthood, which we were able to beat back thanks to Sherrod Brown and Barack Obama, and the other leadership in the Senate who said, no, there's no way in hell this is passing. But it was the Pence amendment. So that's who Mike Pence is to me. Indiana has got a ton of anti-choice bills. He would be just a nightmare of a VP. The other big name is Newt Gingrich, former
Newt.
Speaker. And people are thinking that there's a really good chance that it's going to be him because apparently just yesterday, Fox News dropped him officially from the payroll because he can't be on their payroll and a VP nominee at the same time. So they think that's maybe a big sign.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that I saw on Facebook yesterday was somebody commenting on how the Republican platform supports traditional marriage. And they were asking which one of the 6 marriages between Newt Gingrich and Donald Trump was the traditional one. Because that's the hypocrisy. Yeah, exactly.
You say 6 marriages between Newt Gingrich and Donald Trump, and I picture them getting married.
That would be fun.
You mean that between the two of them, they've had marriages to other people?
Yes, 6 times.
Yeah.
So, it's like you've got this platform talking about traditional marriage, and you've got your candidates who, and again, time and time again, Republicans in bathrooms hitting on people. And, stop with the ridiculous hypocrisy of your platform supposedly saying you're ideologically pure and conservative and amazing, and then who you put forward doesn't reflect that at all in their lives.
I would never get their obsession with sex. They are obsessed with sex.
Yeah.
I mean, they
I
are.
get being obsessed with sex, but just having that
Yeah.
side of it.
They're obsessed with it in a negative way. They're upset.
I don't get.
They're
It's
obsessed
like-
with making sure you don't have sex, and you don't have sex, and I don't have
exactly.
sex, and
It's
nobody
like
has sex.
You do it in this heteronormative way, even though some of them, I'm sure, are in the closet. I just don't understand it. Why? And it's like America has moved past it.
Yes.
The majority of people, marriage equality has already been the law of the land. A majority of people already agree with it. Why are you fighting it for something that's not even going to be overturned? It's already been, it's already said a lot. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand Republicans. Help me.
There is no helping you. I'm sorry, honey. There is no ability to understand. No logic.
Yeah. Like, why can you think of something else to put on your platform besides traditional marriage and pornography is bad? Like,
I'm sure taxing rich people is also bad, and taxing poor people is good. I'm sure there are those pieces too.
true.
On the other side of the ticket, on the other side of the ballot, Hillary Clinton apparently has asked Elizabeth Warren to speak as a primetime speaker at the DNC, but early in the week. And so the people who are reading, they don't think it's going to be her, which personally I'm kind of crushed by. Yesterday, the other news was that she was endorsed by Bernie Sanders officially. The two of them appeared at an event, which I was kind of like, okay. He already said he's voting for her. And then at the same time, his campaign spokesman was like, that doesn't mean we're ending the campaign. I'm like,
what? No.
I'm like, yo, you're unemployed. Face it.
Yeah.
Why would they? Okay.
That was the official statement. We're still marching on. I'm like,
I don't understand Republicans and I don't understand Bernie Sanders' campaign. Like, okay.
Look, I get that he's pushing towards political ideals.
But it's over, man.
It's not a presidential campaign anymore.
No.
Well, and that's what they did transition to. I mean, in all honesty, they did work really hard on the platform, and it did pull the platform left, which I'm really excited about.
Yes.
Yes, that is great.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
And so, it does show that, that can continue to have momentum, and he can continue to, push for the ideals. And yesterday really was and the only way that's going to happen is if Hillary Clinton becomes president of the United States.
Right.
Like, I got my way in the platform in a lot of places, and now we need to elect her because none of that shit's going to happen if Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and we've said this before. You hold your enemies accountable. You hold your friends accountable.
Yes.
So President Hillary, I'm really counting on a very strong Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, Bernie Sanders, coalition in the Senate, really pulling left as hard as they possibly can.
Yeah.
So in that way, I absolutely support Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Of course, some of his supporters were still being stupid yesterday, but whatever.
Yeah. I heard someone write, I'm
People
ready
are
for the
stupid
Trump
everywhere.
apocalypse. So it's like, okay, so the exact person you didn't want is not winning. So let me vote for this terrible.
Burn it all down.
Okay. Good for you. You must have a lot going for you that you don't have to worry about a Trump presidency.
Yeah.
Some privilege there, just a little.
Just a little bit.
Well, I mean, Obama came in. Big Democratic wins in 2008. In 2010,
we got slaughtered.
Yeah. So
there's really no other way to say that than that. Yes.
We did. And then 2012, big Democratic wins. 2014, we got
slaughtered.
So I think they're thinking, well, you bring in a president for one party, and then in the midterms, you absolutely crush back the other way.
Yeah.
So I think that's their idea, which,
we wouldn't get crushed if y'all would vote.
Yes.
Right. Elect Donald Trump and then have everybody just get really pissed. And in the midterms, 2018, just swamp Congress with Democrats in an anti-Trump reaction.
But in 2
That's
years,
a hell of a gamble.
Yeah, in
That's
2
a hell
years,
of a 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg ain't getting any younger.
Right.
No.
Breyer's not getting any younger.
No. She's holding on, though. She's still in good health. She still does push-ups.
She's holding on and she's speaking her mind.
Oh my God, yes, she is.
She said, I can't imagine what this place would be. I can't imagine what the country would be with Donald Trump as our president. For the country, it could be 4 years. For the court, it could be I don't even want to contemplate that.
Yes.
I don't
said-
even
I don't
want
want
to
it. No,
either.
I'm with her on that one.
And she said, now is the time for us to move to New Zealand. So that's the notorious RBG.
And become Kiwis.
Donald Trump was incredibly rude. I mean, it's kind of a rare thing for a Supreme Court justice to be making,
Yes.
those comments. But
Mhm.
he tweeted back, Justice Ginsburg of the U.S. Supreme Court has embarrassed us all by making very dumb political statements about me. Her mind is shot. Resign.
What?
That's what Donald Trump tweeted, calling for Ruth Bader Ginsburg to
Her mind is
resign.
shot?
Right.
Okay.
He never had one, so there's not one to shoot. so.
Seriously.
Yeah.
No.
So that's national politics.
Ain't life grand?
I got through
Yeah.
so much.
That
stuff
is why
happening.
more, what was it, 13% of people would rather a big, huge meteor just hit
Yes.
Earth and,
Just
you know,
end it off.
than to vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. That was my favorite
That's a-
PPP poll ever.
That's like not a small percentage.
No,
of
it
people
was-
to
it was a
saying that
decent
they would
chunk
rather
of people.
just be
Obliterated.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like, is it that bad? Like, okay.
I don't know, after the last week, blow it all up and start over.
No, really. It's like, I mean, oh, I saw another meme that said, have you tried shutting America off and restarting it? Like,
Unplug it for 15
tried
seconds.
this?
and-
Rebooting the router? I mean, maybe we haven't. Maybe we should. Maybe that's our issue.
I mean, the literal version of that would be a constitutional convention, which scares the shit out
Yes.
of me.
We
Mhm.
cannot. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the debate we had over, not to go too far, but the debate we had over at Ohio Voice about whether you should appoint or elect judges. And it's like, part of me says, you should always give the vote to the people. The other part of me says that some of the people should to get the vote to get the vote up for two. Maybe we shouldn't give the vote to those people. But no, it's complicated issue. Yeah.
Yes.
If we had a constitutional convention, like that's the
Mhm.
thing is that all the stupid people would be able to come to.
Right. Right.
I
You'd
mean,
have
yeah.
armed Klansmen standing outside and
The joy of
Yeah.
our constitutional rights.
God, I know.
Fabulous and scary all in one
Right.
wrapped package.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving up to the Title IX sports report. They
We haven't had
returned.
one of those in a while.
I know. Did you watch Wimbledon?
No.
Serena
I
Williams.
heard what happened though. Go Serena.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She kicked ass. She not only won her own, but like she and her sister played doubles and like kicked ass that afternoon too.
Oh, I
like
know.
the same
Oh,
day.
they wanted the doubles.
Yeah,
too?
the same that afternoon. She won the singles in the morning, and that afternoon she and Venus played doubles, and they kicked butt there too.
I can't imagine stepping onto a
Amazing.
tennis court and having to face both
I know.
sisters at the same time. I mean,
They put up a decent fight for a little while, but I mean, you just knew that there was just no chance. You got to go into that thinking there's just no way in hell that we're ever going to win this.
I just get the honor of playing them. I'm not actually going to win.
Yeah.
so we've talked about Serena before in the Title IX sports report.
Mm-hmm.
She won Wimbledon, which means that she has a total of 22 Grand Slam singles, which ties her with Steffi Graf, who was my favorite when I was a kid,
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
for the most in the Open era.
She didn't lose a set. The entire Wimbledon didn't lose a set.
Has anybody ever
don't
done that
doubt
before?
I don't know for sure though, but yeah, I mean, it was a big, huge deal. I mean, she won everything in two. She never dropped a set.
Right. So she's now one of the greatest tennis players of all time. She was asked about being,
One of the greatest female
Female athlete,
athletes,
yeah.
and her amazing response because she's Serena Williams is like, I like to prefer that I'm one of the greatest athletes ever.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
right.
Have you seen her abs? Like, oh my God. Wow.
Actually, there was a really good, and I'll find it and we'll put it in the show notes, video of her I had a guy in one of those like outfits that you put on somebody in a personal safety, personal defense kind of
Oh,
training,
mhm.
and her with a tennis racket and tennis balls, and he says something that women hear all the time out there, like, you're a great athlete for a woman, or I don't really like women's athlete, and so every time he speaks a word, she like whacks him with a tennis ball. It's actually pretty fabulously amazing. We'll put it in the show notes too, because it's another amazing Serena Williams kind of moment.
Okay.
That's funny.
Serena, of course, is making a bigger impact than just being one of the greatest athletes. She was in Beyonce's video. She's in Lemonade twerking.
Yes, she is. She's not very good twerker, but she tried.
She is a just fine twerker. Thank you.
Honey, you can go to Avalon on a Friday night. You'll see people twerking better than that. But she tried. I still love you, Serena. Her twerking's not her thing. Just stick to tennis.
Yeah. And Beyonce and Jay-Z were at the match.
Yes, I saw pictures.
And then also, she has not held her tongue at all. In terms of these police shootings, she was kind of watching it all from London. Very upset and quite vocal about, how disturbing all of this is. So, for her to feel confident in speaking her mind like that, and to kick ass. So, Serena is having a good 2016.
Yes, she
unlike
is.
the rest of us.
Well, and then also, too, to fly off the agenda for a second, too, the Minnesota Lynx, the WNBA team, located in Minneapolis, actually wore Black Lives Matter warm-up shirts at the game. And actually, the NRA has been very outspoken in what happened next, which was 4 of the off-duty police officers who were providing security at the game walked off the job.
Right.
So they would rather have people not be protected than stand there while somebody makes a political protest. I mean, the police are there to preserve right. Like, seriously, that's your right to free speech. And, you were there being paid to do a job, and you walked off the job at the last moment without any notice because you just didn't like somebody's t-shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean,
it's like you should be against that because everything Alicia Garza said is true. Because after what happened in Dallas, after I don't know his name. I'm gonna say his name, but after the shooter, the killer did what he did, then there was other police officers I saw that went out to other calls and they got ambushed. So she was right in saying that when you have all this tension and people see terrible things happening, their reaction shouldn't be then now I'm going to kill you. But some people take that and that's what they, that's how they take out their frustration. And so it's making it unsafe for all the other officers. So why would you walk out? I mean, they are not saying anything personal against you. If you've done nothing wrong, if you don't, throw people down unnecessarily, or talk to them any kind of way, then why is it offensive to you to say that other officers shouldn't be doing that? You should be for that so it can be safer for all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't understand why they did that.
And so then I added in here in the Title IX sports report, because it's almost like sports. Theresa May. Do you know who Theresa May is?
No.
As of today, she is the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
David Cameron left because of the Brexit. I'm counting this as sports. They have their second female Prime Minister. After the men's singles finals at Wimbledon, David Cameron was there, and Andy Murray, who won it, he acknowledged him in the crowd and said that, you think playing tennis is tough. I wouldn't even imagine what it's like being the prime minister. So David Cameron is out and a woman is in. Good luck, lady.
Well, she was supposedly against the Brexit.
Right?
No,
they have the election.
No,
she'll be there for a while.
Yeah.
Are they not going to have an election?
They do. Their elections totally different. The prime minister is picked by the party in charge of.
It's closer to changing Speaker of the House. I think.
Oh.
It's weird.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't actually necessarily vote on. And a lot of these parliamentary governments that exist other places, they vote like a party in to power in parliament, and then the party picks the leader who then runs. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a different way of doing things. But yeah, she was against the Brexit, which will be interesting because now she gets to shepherd it through the process.
Yeah.
I don't know who volunteers for that job, but she must have some ovaries, so go get him.
Well, I think they're regretting the Brexit now, but oh well.
Yeah.
It's too late, I guess.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Are you going to sing us into the next
Yes.
section?
Let's get it on. Time for let's get it on. And what's happening, Gabe?
Okay, just to give another plug to Slurricane Trump. July 21st, that is Thursday. Doors open to the VIP reception at 7 p.m., $75. Tickets at comedyrnc.brownpapertickets.com. There's also general admission tickets, but we really want to see folks at 7 o'clock at the VIP reception. You'll get to meet the comedians and play some games and get a drink ticket.
Fabulous carnival games.
Yeah. Liz Winstead co-created The Daily Show. Alonzo Bowden, who you know from Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and then Frank Conniff with Mystery Science Theater 3000 are all going to be up on stage during Trump's speech while it's broadcast behind him. They're going to be cracking jokes the entire time. It's going to be hilarious. It's in Cleveland at the Bohemian National Hall, which is just outside of the downtown area. So it'll be easier to park, easier to get to. You won't need a gas mask. There won't be any armed Klansmen or Black Panthers.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully not.
So protest from a safe distance with us.
Woohoo.
Yay.
What else is happening, Randy?
Oh, Youngstown Pride is happening this Saturday.
It's from noon to 9.
Okay,
downtown on East Federal Street. So if you're in
Yes.
Youngstown, you probably know where that is.
Because we don't.
Yeah. Annie will be down there. She has a setup at 9. So if you're an early bird and want to help her set up, volunteer at prochoiceohio.org. Or if you want to volunteer, or if you just want to stop by and say hi while she's down there, come hang. It'll be fabulous.
Yep.
So-
I had a lot of fun at all the festivals. We'll also be phone banking here this Saturday in Columbus at the office from 10 to noon. So if you're here, please join us. But again, you can volunteer by emailing us at volunteer@prochoiceohio.org. And we'll be sending out, because we're really going to be ramping up our making phone calls. So we'll be sending out an email with all the different times and places, because we'll be doing here, Dayton, Cincinnati. So
Cleveland,
you can join us.
Toledo.
Cleveland, Toledo. If
So-
you're up north.
So Saturday, July 16th is phone banking in Columbus and Pride in Youngstown.
Yep.
Monday, July 18th at the RNC is the People's March, the People's Parade. NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio will be participating in that. Annie is up there. There may or may not be a giant uterus puppet in the works.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Hopefully there
a
will
giant
be a
uterus.
giant uterus
So if you
puppet.
see the uterus, you can participate with Annie up there. Last word is comedy, rnc.brownpapertickets.com. Link for that is in the show notes. That's all we got.
Cool.
I don't know, when you just said uterus just now, it made me think of a screenshot of the Pokemon Go, but it was like a uterus that you're floating around. We're trying to catch. It's like, look at the uterus. My uterus is the cuterus. Okay. Anyway.
On that note, go outside, take a walk. If you've got to chase Pokemon to do it, do it. Michelle Obama has been trying for 8 years to get people to go outside. I guess all we needed was a stupid app so you could chase imaginary monsters, but
Yes.
go for it.
It worked. I love it.
She might be the secret creator.
It's possible.
We don't know.
Okay.
All right. Have fun.
See everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.